All right, how's it going, guys? So next video on the hybrid project. This is kind of a exciting video for us. We are finally going to start making the new custom swing arm for this sucker. We haven't got the second set of radiator hoses in yet. Should be here like within the next couple of days, but we did get all the stuff in to start building our swing arm. I think I showed the jig that I made. I gotta finish welding this stuff up today. We have our front pivot tubes, made our clamps for the rear housing. I made the housing right here, so these will get welded on here. So that'll be our carrier. You want to show we got the gusset kit in. We bought a TRX450R gusset kit, the cross-country style or desert one. So just show some of those cool pieces.
Yes.
Yeah. So we've obviously got a lot of welding to do on this thing, but we can't do that until we get it started, taken all back apart. So next step in the process, get this swing arm done. The plan is to get all of our swing arm suspension, everything on, and then we can get the shocks sent out to get revalved and everything. I've got a bunch of little threaded metric bungs here that I made. Those are all be bolt locations for our swing arm. So first things first is I'm gonna weld the clamps on the carrier, and then I'm gonna start finalizing locations on our jig down here. Get this all welded up and permanent. So let's get going on that. As always, like and subscribe. Keep following this build. Hope you guys are excited about it as we are. Alright, so first thing, I'm gonna get these on. If you look here, when I made this carrier and I milled across here to cut it, it sprung open. So I got the clamp on here to hold it tight, and I got the bolts in here for when I milled a radius. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get these welded on, and then I'll take these bolts out and actually clamp it down, and that'll hold it really nice and tight to shape while we weld our other bars on, so we ain't gotta worry about like deforming and stuff like that. So first thing is I'm gonna measure and get these all tacked on. There's that one tacked. So I'll just do the other side, and then I'll unbolt, take my clamp off, weld everything up solid. So we'll bring it back after I get it all tacked up, and I'll show you some welding on this thing. All right, so we got our clamps tacked on, not welded. So I'm taking the bolts and all the spacers out, and ow, that's freaking hot. All right, I'm gonna take this clamp off, and you'll see this gap open up. You see it. That's how it was after cutting that in half. So that's why I wanted to weld those bolts on kind of like it was. So now I'm going to take all this back apart. Alright, so there are the carriers off. So I'm going to start welding all the way around these, get this all done. And then I'll put the bearing carrier back in and actually bolt it down to it. And then this piece will be ready to go on our fixture over there. So hopefully I can get some decent looking welds on here. That's not horrible. And do this other side. There, that looks pretty good. So I'm just gonna go all the way around those blocks, and then this piece will actually be done. Oh, that's freaking hot. Sorry, I got a hole in my glove. Be right back. All right, so this is all welded up now. Bottoms, everything. And I even welded across the insides here so that can't get rust or anything around there. So now, like, since like in the inside where it's milled's real close, so I'm just chasing a tap through to make sure I didn't melt off a thread. Man, it's still super hot. So they all feel really good still. But just to be sure, but then I'm gonna take and bolt these back together and actually bolt it onto that carrier, and it's gonna stay bolted on that while we build our whole swing arm. But there's our, basically, that's our finished carrier right there. So next step, finish that welding on the fixture, get all of our points all set. We're not really going to show a whole lot of that because the video is not about building a fixture, it's about the swing arm. So we'll probably come back when we actually start making our swing arm, not the fixture. So we'll throw a couple clips in of welding on the fixture, but we're not going to talk about it much. So okay, so we got the fixture all welded up. I'm going to show you guys. I took the old swing arm off. So this is all labeled. It doesn't look like much, but got spots here for the chain slider. We got the shock linkage. This is where the carrier will go, and then on the outsides here, I don't know if I can show it very well, but these are all labeled with the hole number. So like that's this hole here, so that I could put all this stuff back to so that stuff can go back to factory dimensions and stuff. So if I want to build another swing arm, I take the hole number here and I just put it in that hole, and then this will be factory. So what we're actually going to do is where the carrier goes, we're going to move this back probably 2 inches and make a +2 swing arm. So now I'm going to bolt the carrier in here. It's kind of hard to do one-handed. It has to go in like perfect. So that goes in, and then I just have this all thread here to squeeze it in. Sorry, I'm leaning on the GoPro to hold it up. There we go. So that's in. So then I can clock this where I want. So like probably right about there. Probably just flat is what we'll go with. But then I've got bolts and stuff for the other side. So that'll get locked down, tightened. Anyways, that'll get tightened. And then up here on the front, what I've got is, here's our new front that'll go on here, right? So since I don't have bearings in here, what I made is these spacers. So that holds it centered. I made these really tight. So that holds it centered on this. Okay. But I got to put this in, and again, these are all labeled so I know what they go to. So that goes on here, and I marked left side so that I know that goes out. So this goes on. And again, I've got my washers and everything here. Some pile full of shit. So, washer, overboard washers, then the nut. And so then when I made this, see how this is a little loose? Well, that would actually mess up my geometry here if that's loose. So what I did is I put these bolts in last night. So these will tighten that down and hold it nice and square inside that hole. And now I don't have any kind of slop or anything there. So now all I gotta do is bolt these, tighten all that down. And so basically with this new points on here, this is on here, and then I just gotta design all my tubing in here. This is where my shock mount is, or my linkage I should say. So this is the size of the linkage exactly. So as long as I clear the space here and make the my mounts around this, then we know the linkage will fit. And then I'll bolt little threaded bungs on here that I showed I made. Those will bolt on here, and then we'll have our threaded locations for the chain slider. And the only thing that I didn't put on here yet is back here for the brake stay, because I got to make that. So there will actually be a piece here where that brake stay threads into. But I'm pretty confident I can just measure that and get it welded on afterwards. And I'm excited to get this going. So I'm going to get this all tightened up, and then we're going to start figuring out some tubing here and start throwing some pieces in here and see what it looks like. So let me get this all tightened up, and then we'll come back. All right, so I got the carrier bolted in tight here, so that's part of the fixture. I've got the pivot tube pieces all bolted in. These are all engraved where they go. But I want to show you guys, if you look in the middle of this plate I made, this is all a machine surface. I milled this groove in here, and every one of these holes is exactly 1 inch apart. And the reason I did that is now this is all modular, right? So this is all built square and everything. These are all sitting on a nice tight keyway that sits in there, and there's no slop at all. So what that lets me do, like for this, we want to do a +2 swing arm. So all I got to do is 2 inches back. I'll put this keyway back in here, and that's what holds this centered and everything. And then put this back on. Right like that, and I bolt it back down. I gotta get underneath it here for the bolts, but so there we go. That's one bolt. Let's steal my other bolt down here. These are, the holes and everything are really tight. So now that's back 2 inches, so it's a +2 swing arm. I mean, we could go all the way back here if we wanted to. I don't want to. But we built this fixture with the intention of being able to make these pieces. So for instance, just a second. So for instance, this piece can be used for any swing arm, you know, whatever we make, and the spacers will get changed for the machine. So if I wanted to make one for my LTR, I'd make these spacers and stuff to fit the LTR. I'd make this piece to fit the LTR, you know, and label it like we did here, and then make this piece for the LTR. So this is specifically for the Honda right now. So this will bolt on for the Honda. And with them labeled, I can take all this off, and it'd be basically like a little kit. And then I could put other ones on here and make plus or minus swing arms for something else. So we did this plate with the intention of being able to make it kind of modular and change stuff out. So just wanted to kind of show that and explain the reason why we're doing it this way. I have no intention of like mass producing swing arms or anything, but we've got quite a few wheelers and some friends got them, so we figured it'd be kind of cool to just have the capability to make more of these if we want to. So I'm gonna keep bolting this stuff on, and then I'm gonna start cutting some tubing here and try to come up with a cool design to make this. So be right back. All right, so I went ahead and got my first 2 tubes ready. I'll show you here. So after a whole bunch of grinding, I don't have a tubing notcher, and then these are clearanced. So this location here for the rear brake stay, I've got these threaded bungs on, like I said. So I'll get that up there, and those are clearance now. So that's basically how it's gonna sit. And then these will get welded in there. Get this tacked up, and I made these 2 bars to match. So this one's all ready to go too. Sits right here. Basically like that. So I'm gonna go ahead now and just tack them in for now, and let you see how it looks after that. Okay, so I got my square set to line the bar up a quarter inch from the edge of my carrier. That way I got room to get my weld all in there. I'm gonna get that set. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna hold this up, and I want that bar pretty much centered on there. And then if I put my square on the edge, right there. So I'm going to tack this back. Oh, I'll tack the front barrel up here first. Get all this stuff like pretty solid. On this side, I'll get that lined up there first. And this side's really tight. I actually had to pinch this tube just a little bit to make it oval so that it doesn't hang over. That's one of the biggest reasons for making this swing arm in the first place. I can't get the gap I need to put some filler in there. So that's all tacked in there. what I'll do next is I'm going to stand this up on its side. And get some tacks on these lower parts here. Tack this up, and that's about as much as we can do for today. And then we'll come back another day and do some more. There we go. So at least we got some tacks on there now, it's sturdy. And there's the start of our swing arm anyways. So it'll start looking cooler after we get the next pipes on and stuff, but you'll see at the end of the video. But now I gotta wait, so come back in whenever we get more material in, we'll resume video, so stay tuned.